Hey everybody, this is Wade. Welcome back to Wade's Orchids. After a really long hiatus here, I'm going to give you a greenhouse tour. This is the beginning of September of 2019. Yeah, I get that right. And we are starting off here with an orchid that I really think that any orchid collection is incomplete without. This is Brassavola nodosa, and this is an adult plant, but it's not a terribly large plant. And it bloomed for me this spring. One spike had 9 flowers, which I was very, very happy to see. And now, this is very rare, but it is blooming again on branches from those same spikes. One spike has 3 flowers, and the one that had 9 now has 5 flowers. If you don't have this in your collection, look for it and get it. It is just a very easy to grow orchid for one thing, very reliable bloomer, and it has got possibly the best fragrance of any orchid that I know of. And it's just get it. Okay, we'll let it go at that. Just beautiful, beautiful orchid. The Dendrobium phalaenopsis are starting to bloom. This one here is from my friend Chris Bevins, and it's called Miscellaneous Mini, and I believe that's the name of it anyway. But this is getting ready to bloom. Also, here in back of it, we have got Inobi Purple Splash with its first flower open. There, get it down here so you guys can see. This is a really nice thing. Now, these are mini den phals. I like them very much, much better than the standard size. And there's been some breeding going on to combine them with some other things. Going back to another Cattleya, and this has got Brassavola nodosa as one of the parents. This is golden Bepidendrum, I think, golden peacock. And I don't believe that this one has got a clonal name. I got this as what we call a bag baby from Lowe's. One of those little things that you can get. There's some very nice things to get there, so give them a look if you're in at Lowe's. Some of them are very nice. And another hybrid with nodosa has just opened up here. This is a really nice thing. The flower is large, and I am hoping to get more flowers on it. This is BC Sunny Delight crossed with BL Richard Mueller. So it's very nice. It will turn to a pure yellow after a while, as do almost all the plants with Richard Mueller as a parent. And I've got one other back here that has got Richard Mueller in. And this is Rustic Spots. I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with this. And you see how dark it is right now? Well, it will lighten up considerably as the days and weeks go by. And very pretty cross with nodosa in the background. Just a beautiful thing to see. Moving right along here, this is an old hybrid, which I don't remember the name of, but I will look here if I can get the thing out of the pot. It is Miltonia Fort Gorge Variety Beauty, And this is what I call a true Miltonia, which means not Miltoniopsis. And the difference in them is like night and day. Whereas Miltoniopsis are cool growers that like a fair amount of shade. These like a good amount of light, and it has a problem with anything like anything that has Miltonia spectabilis in it, in that it wants to clump the flowers at the end of the spike. Now this is crossed with a Brassia, but even so, the flowers are still clumped a bit. But it's got nice color, nice form. It's certainly been around for since the early 70s, I believe. But still a nice plant to have. We'll take a look at a couple of the Masdevallias here. This is Machu Picchu. Now Machu Picchu will put out, as you can see, a secondary flower, which is very nice. That's always something to look for in Masdevallias. But this is a cold grower. And as you can see, right there is my cool pads. So whenever it starts getting warm, the cool pads start to become effective and help to keep things very humid with a lot of air movement. And the exhaust fan is starting to go on, so the vents just opened up. But it really helps to keep this plant fairly healthy. The Masdevallias are looking pretty ratty right now. They've been getting a little bit too much sun, a little bit too much heat, but they will get better now as it starts to cool off. Back here we've got another really nice Masdevallia. Oh, get it in frame here. And the name on this is Greenhouose variety Gloria, which has got an AM. And I'm sorry about the one flower there. Looks like a slug was getting at it. That is a problem with Masdevallias. They're fine potting media, and the coolness and constant dampness make it a good habit for slugs. Here is another one. Although this looks like a lot like Machu Picchu, this is Masdevallia Red Wing variety Hartford, which has an AM. Very pretty. And this also blooms with a secondary flower. Really nice. Let's see, what else do we have? Not a whole lot else going on in Masdevallias. There's the fall Masdevallias have not really started to flower yet, so we'll have to do that in a subsequent tour. One thing that is getting ready to flower is this little guy. You see these spikes here? There's more spikes coming there, back here. This is Stenoglottis longifolia, and it's named for the fact that it has got longer foliage than most of the other Stenoglossa. It is a larger plant than the other Stenoglottis that I have. I was saying it wrong. I'm sorry. It's Stenoglottis. And this is one that after it flowers, the leaves start looking ratty, and you decrease the water, and it eventually goes dormant over the winter for a while, which is not a problem. You just let it sit there, and it seems to be okay if you do get a little water on it. It's not that huge of a deal, but I will hopefully show it to you in full bloom in about another month or so. Now we're going to take a quick break and I'll go over here and we'll look at some Catasetums. And here we are looking at the Catasetums. And first one I'm going to show you, this has got female flowers on it. It is still pretty, even though it is female flowers. This is Stenoglottis Jean Monnier. And as you can see, the Stenoglottis have what is called non-recuperant flowers, which means that they do not turn 180 degrees to present themselves with the lip down. This is almost all orchids do twist themselves that way, but these do not. Also, this is the only orchid that I know of that can put out male and female flowers that are separate. Sometimes you can get multiple spikes that will have female flowers on one and male flowers on another spike. That usually results on moving the plant. But female flowers are resultant mostly of getting high light, which this one was. This is on the south side of the greenhouse. But it is still pretty. Only 4 flowers, but I like it. I'm going to be trying to hybridize it with a plant I'm going to show you next. And this is on its first bloom, but it is a gorgeous thing. Here we go. And that is Fred Clark Air Midnight Lace crossed with Catasetum frillidoris. And yes, it is almost black. In truth, it is more of a very solid, dark garnet red. But the flower is just incredible, and I love this thing. And first flowering, I got 9 flowers on it, and I have not noticed any fragrance. Some of the Catasetums and Cloacias and etc. do have a very nice fragrance, but I really like that. And we're going to see how it goes with Jean Monnier here. And I've got a couple more. Catasetum season is just really starting here. But one of the things that Fred Clark has been breeding is crosses with Denticulatum and Tigrinum, which are really a dwarf Catasetums. This is one of them. This is Cloacia, no, how do you say it? Cloacetum? Whatever. Alexandra suava. And it's Cloacia Rebecca Northern crossed with Catasetum denticulatum. And as you see, this is a 3.5-inch pot here that it's blooming in. It's very, very pretty. It has got a nice sweet fragrance. The size of the plant itself is, fairly small for a Catasetum. You compare that with this Fred Clark Air over here, and you can see why they call it a mini. I would say probably total from bottom of the pot to the top of the leaves is under 18 inches, which really is a mini. And when this gets a little more mature, I think it will be putting out 2 or 3 flower spikes. And flowers last a fair amount of time. I would say I'm expecting it to last maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Catasetums usually only last a couple weeks. That's at best. But very nice thing. And I've got one more. If my voice sounds bad, it's hay fever season for me, and just things are not real great. But this thing flowered with female flowers before on a previous spike, 2 previous spikes. And I thought, gee, I'd really like to see this with the male flower, so I put it down here in the rack where it gets a little bit of morning sun, and that's it. But it's a nice pastel color. I kind of like this. It is Catasetum Vista Sangria. No, it's Rhea Vista Sangria crossed with Chuck Taylor. And it's a pretty thing. Oh, since I'm here, I want to show you some painted leaf orchids that I'm growing along. This is Sarcolexia Green Dragon, cross made by Leon Glissenstein. And these are growing very nicely. I'll be having them for sale after a bit. Really nice things. I'm really excited about the way they're growing. So, we'll move along here, take a look at a few Habenarias. Oh, before we get to the Habenarias, here we have a Bulbophyllum. This is Bulbophyllum Jersey, and it's a named variety. That is Jersey variety Elizabeth. Very pretty. One thing with almost all Bulbophyllum jerseys is that the petals sweep back very badly or dramatically, however you want to put it. But that is the way they all are, and they are judged with that knowledge. But this is a very desirable clone. It's nice and dark. I like it very much, and it's got one thing about Jersey. This is in a 6-inch pot. That's the first spike of 4. So, and it's got plenty of room to grow. So it's really easy to have, you know, quite a few spikes on one of these once they get going. And that's one of the things with Bulbophyllums. They're okay when they first start flowering, but once they get going, they start branching a lot and putting out a lot more flowers and become a lot nicer. Here's another Bulbophyllum. This is Adorable Candy Ann variety Lavender Lady. I got this from Bill Tom's. I've got a few of these. If you can find Adorable Candy Ann any place, get one. It's very nice. Both of these are very easy to bloom and very enjoyable. So I said we're going to look at some Habenarias, and here we are. Let's start with this guy. I just got this not too long ago, and I can't take credit for the spike because it was in spike when I got it. This is Habeneria medusae, and it puts out even a small plant like this. This is a 2.5-inch pot, or 2-inch pot rather, and it is putting out, looks like about 9 flowers. Very pretty. This is being used a fair amount in hybridization to try to get those frills onto some other plants. And here's one of them. You can see a little bit from it. This is Bird of Paradise, one of Leon's hybrids, and it's just starting to open. I ran out of Bird of Paradise, and I begged Leon for one, and he gave me this one. So hopefully I'll be able to get more of it as the years go by. Your Habenarias, I have some that are just still coming out of dormancy. Here's another nice little one. This is Eric's pink thing that is opening up. Really pretty. And looks like most of the other things are kind of between. They're either done flowering or getting ready to flower. And here's another one. This is Regnarii crossed with Eric Michaeli. And this was kind of an experiment. I grew this in sphagnum moss in a 3-inch clay pot. I would not recommend it. Even watering it frequently, it tends to get too dry. So let's move along down here. See if I can. Oh, here we have something really nice. This is this was an Encyclia cochleata. It has been renamed. The genus has been split apart and renamed. I think this is Prostechia now. This is a nice dark one. Flowers last quite a while. I've got another spike coming here. So this will be in bloom for quite a while. You see it doesn't open up all the flowers at once, although they will all be open at once, I believe. Got this from my friend Anna. Thank you, dear. Blooming really nice. When these get bigger, this is in a 3.5-inch pot. It needs repotting though. But once these get to like about a 6-inch pot size, they'll get like 4 or 5 spikes, and they really get very pretty. I mean, it's pretty now, but they'll get even more pretty. And it has a weird kind of a fragrance, if you want to call it a fragrance. Some people might say it stinks. This is Psychopsis hildos variety, Mendenhall. It blooms for me pretty much whenever the weather is warm. During the winter time, it gets too cold for it to bloom, and it just kind of sits there and pouts. But it makes it through. But whenever from late spring in through fall, it keeps putting flowers out. I've got 3 spikes on it. The oldest spike is right here, and it has been putting out flowers for 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. I've been told that the spikes can last a total of 8 years. Here, turn it around so you can see it better. Really pretty, always nice to see. Okay, a few more things to look at. Back to the Bulbophyllums. Here we have a really nice, this is a very light color Bulbophyllum tingabarinum, and it's in full bloom, doing very nicely for me. Got this one from Andy's Orchids. It's tingabarinum is a fairly easy plant to bloom. It likes medium shade and good humidity. Below it is, I have only one flower open on this, but that's Ceratostylis rubra. Rubra means red, and well, it's not red, but it's an orange. And here is another Masdevallia Machu Picchu. And we'll move along down here. Things get really crowded here in the shaded part because I grow a lot of Bulbophyllums and other species. Here is Ornithocephalus, doing very nicely. I think this is Gladiatus. Let me check. Might not be. Okay, I have it labeled as Inflexus. It's pretty hard to tell them apart, actually. This has been blooming for quite a while. And going around here, here we have Path Rothschildianum. It is not putting out a good bloom, unfortunately. It was repotted, and I think it was sulking a bit for a while, and said kind of like, "Screw you, buddy! I'm going to put out just a little flower spike." But beautiful flower nonetheless. Have a couple of miniatures here. This is a Brassavola. I don't think I can get the camera in close enough for you to see the flowers really well. That's about as good as we're going to get. But this is a tiny little creeper here. Flowers last a good long time. Really nice. And over here we have, this is actually branching from the original flowering. This was Miltonia, but now they renamed it as Macroclinium junctum. And really nice flowers, and you can see how tiny the plant is. The flower spike is actually much larger than the plant. Really beautiful. I don't think it's terribly easy to grow. It needs very high humidity and good air movement. It's blooms in the shade. Get as close as I can here. Really beautiful. Got a couple more things here blooming. Not too much. Oh, here we have Pleurophthalus costaricensis, and that is in all its glory there. Well, it's actually a little bit past. The flowers don't stay open a long time, but it flowers, I would say, about once a month for me. Again, during the warmer weather. Flowers only last a few days, but it's very, very showy when it flowers, especially for a Pleurophthalus. Really nice. I took one of my Stellas and mounted a piece of it here. So we have Stellas morganii. Really hard to see the flowers on that very well. But I've been growing this potted, and I thought, gee, wouldn't it be nice to mount this, see how it does? So there we go. I got one mounted. And I believe that's about it, guys. Not too much for you to see. Here's some more Bulbophyllums. This is how I'm going to be growing them out of flask. These seem to be doing very nicely. Look at how beautiful green the leaves are. So I have these little trays, and I essentially make up plugs with them of sphagnum moss, and they seem to be doing very nicely. So that's it, guys. Hopefully I will be back with you again soon. I'm very sorry there's been such a long wait. Everybody take care. I love yous, and keep on growing, okay? Bye-bye.